Hi, Mrs. Craig's class. This is Mr. Taylor, the high school librarian. We'll be set up a little bit different in the library this year. There'll be another video to show you how you can put a book on hold, and I'll share that with you, and then we'll deliver the book to you that you pick for your business book for reading this semester and for the independent reading. The purpose of this video is to introduce you to a few of the books that are on the list. The list that you got does have links to Amazon. You can read up on all of them. I'm going to touch on a lot of those books, maybe not every single one. If you've ever been down to the library for a book talk, you know sort of how this goes. I'm just going to give you a quick overview, and you can decide, yes, I'd like to know more about that book. Maybe try to remember the title if one sounds really interesting to you, and just try to give you some choices so that you can pick a book you'll actually like for the semester. So I kind of have them divided into different categories. I'm going to start with books that are really about improving yourself in order to be a better business person. And sometimes that can mean a variety of things. One of the first that I'll bring up here is a book that's called Grit. Grit is a book that really focuses on the idea of failure and how you deal with failure, and the idea that rather than just giving up, you continue to push forward and improve. And it goes into a lot of examples about how you can improve your own grit and measure grit and why it's so important to a business. So if that sounds interesting to you, keep that one in mind. The next book that I have here is again in that same sort of idea, is called The Talent Code. The Talent Code is a book that looks at how you build those characteristics that will make you stand out in a business or in a corporate world. So if you're looking for what is it that I need to bring to the table so that I can participate, so I can get a job, so I can do the things I need to do, you might be interested in this book. And that's the Talent Code. The next book is called Give and Take, and it takes a little bit of a kind of a view that the more that you help others in your workplace can actually benefit you. And sometimes, we think of the business world as really cutthroat, but being a team player may actually be the best way to get ahead. And this author will walk you through ways that will help you to achieve that. Just a few more in this category, and then I'll jump to some other categories for you. This one, just like the last, has got a similar concept: the ideal team player. It's just about working well with other people, understanding what it is that you can do, and you might think that it comes naturally, but a lot of it doesn't. And you really have to focus on trying to listen to other people, even though you may have ideas you want to push through. So that's the ideal team player. The next one's been around for 8 decades, which is kind of amazing, actually, and it's sold like just millions and millions of copies. It's called How to Win Friends and Influence People, and it's just, again, tried and true methods of making an impact on someone when you meet them, and so much um, of the business of being able to navigate your way through a successful business is being able to talk to other people and to have them remember you, and to make sure that you are listening to them and giving them the sort of attention they need. One more then in this one, and this one, I really like this one. It's called Mindset by Carol Dweck. Really, this book helped to really push a concept that's called growth mindset. But the idea is simply that no one is really, you are not, your intelligence is something that you can improve over time. And if you put effort and you put work in, a lot of people think you might be born intelligent, you're born smart. And that is just not the case. Science shows that is false. The work you put in can make you smarter, can make you better. And she talks about why this is so important, because people who have this mindset, that understand that work can result in improvement, they end up being some of the most influential people, because they know that what the outcomes will be. So if you want something a little psychological too, a lot of these, like I said, are kind of about self-improvement, but also a psychological aspect. All right, I'm going to switch to different topics now that are connected to business on some of the ones that we have. And the next set are all HR books. So these are going to be human resources. This is, if you're interested in human resources, this is about working with people, working through problems in businesses, making sure that you're doing things that are legally correct, and making sure that you're handling employees, the hiring process, the grievance process, doing all these kinds of things. So you talk to a lot of people in the company. And so the first one is the new HR leaders first 100 days, broken up really in a way not very long of a read, it broken up in a way that it's broken into these separate rules. And so you have kind of just step by step by step these really short chapters. Might be a good read for someone that's looking for one that's laid out just really clearly if you're interested in HR, and if that sounds good to you. I will pause here for a second just to say, choose a book out of all the ones I'm covering and the ones that are on Amazon. Choose a book that you can read. If you know you're a slow reader, it's okay to pick a shorter book. And if you're like, I can get through, 400 pages, no problem. It's, pick one of the more, the longer books, pick one that's the most intriguing to you. But do keep that in mind as you make your selection. I know Mrs. Craig wants you to be interested in your choice, but also not overwhelmed by it. So, I'm going to go also kind of in that realm of HR. We have the big book of HR. This one is almost kind of textbook style, but if you really just want like brass tacks, just this is what it is. This is how HR works. These are the terms you need to know. Go in almost just knowing what it really really is. You might like a book like this. And then one more, The Power of Company Culture. This is really about getting everyone to buy in. And that's a lot of these books talk about this idea of getting employees and getting your team to buy into a concept, a vision. And if you can do that, that's what leads to ultimate success. And so the Power of Company Culture discusses that idea. The next two that I have here are really books that kind of take a look at sort of getting something to catch on. How do you get, and if you have an idea, if there's something that you think that will really work, what can you do to sort of make that take off? And one is called The Tipping Point, by Malcolm Gladwell. I like Gladwell's style is great. He has really short chapters that are very interesting. Each one goes on like a particular topic. They're almost like separate essays, and it's kind of a quick read, but they're really interesting. They're about ways that people think, and about what makes something popular. How does it finally? Where does it get to that point, that tipping point, when it becomes really popular and mainstream and sort of over the top, and everybody's all of a sudden into it, and it talks about how that happens, and some of the key figures that make that occur. Start with Why is a book that really looks at company philosophy. Simon Sinek has a couple of books that are actually on our cart and ones you can choose from. This is probably his most famous one. He talks about something called the Golden Circle. He talks about really using sort of Apple as an example, but other companies too. He brings in a lot of other companies, but this concept of branding and creating a company philosophy, and really starting with why. Why do we exist? What is that? And then trying to sell that and market it. So if you're interested in what like real big companies have done to be successful, this book talks about that. Got some money books here next, and a lot of finance. So if you're interested in the financial part of things, these might interest you. One is The Compound Effect. Really just a short book that explains the power of the compound effect. You guys will talk about this. It is, it says jumpstart your income, but it really just is kind of the math element of finances and why compound, what this can do for a company and what this can do for you individually, for personally, as far as your own savings and your own money. So if you're interested in that, again, money aspect, you might like The Compound Effect. Again, this one is just a little bit more sort of straight to the point. Corporate Finance for Dummies. And if you've probably seen these books, I actually find them to be pretty, like, they're readable. They try to use like accessible language to explain stuff to you. If you are interested in corporate finance, this will get you down through all of the like major concepts, and the sort of the major things that you would need to know. How Finance Works is very similar, just a not of the same series that one is. But if you're really just looking for a book that breaks everything down, almost textbook style, but gives you some insights into the key points of finance. And then finally, The Wisdom of Finance, which is actually kind of done by a Harvard professor, and he it really is talking about like almost the history of finance and where it's come from and where it's going, and why there are some things that sort of maybe need to change in finance, and how we and what those might be. So just a neat sort of almost like philosophy of finance kind of thing. And if that sounds interesting, that's The Wisdom of Finance. All right. Um, this next one, I have a few sort of biographies or autobiographies on the cart. Some of them are out right now. We do have books that are being returned that students had from last year still. And so they're still coming in. This one is called The Originals, and it's kind of that type. It's like stories about people who brought a new idea to a company, so who came up with something very different, and how they pitched that, how they made that, it turned that into success. And so almost like a story about somebody's life, but these are just a whole bunch of shorter ones, and it goes through at the beginning in the summary. You can read some of these. An entrepreneur pitches his startups by highlighting the reasons not to invest in them. A woman at Apple who dared to challenge Steve Jobs from 3 management levels below. An analyst who overturned the rule of secrecy at the CIA. It goes through these people who approach something from a different angle completely, and the success that they were able to have. I'll mention too, we have some other biographies that are kind of on the cart. Like I said, some of them I don't have in. I know we have one on Elon Musk. If you're interested in reading about him, he started PayPal and he's since sold it, but he's Telsa and he owns a bunch of companies and has been kind of in the news. So maybe you've heard of him. And I think we have one on Richard Branson also. So you have the option to maybe, if you wanted to read about a kind of a famous business person who's been very successful, that might be something to explore. Just waiting for some of those to come back. Just a few more. I like so I think this is interesting. This is really about getting your message out there. The first one is called Everybody Writes, and it's really a writing book for business. And it's about how unbelievably important writing is in the business world. I like to read about writing, but I know for some folks that it's going to be really dry. But if you want to be a better writer and that appeals to you, I think you'll love to hear these suggestions about just how to get your message out there, how to be clear, why it's so important to be writing, to have good writing on the internet for your company. You might like that. Next one is Pitch Perfect. This is more about sort of partly public speaking, but really about the idea of presenting your ideas to others and making sure they get it. And it's about the message and making sure that message is clearly delivered. So speaking out loud, explaining ideas to other people, that kind of thing. If you want to read about how to do that better, you might like Pitch Perfect. All right. Entrepreneurship. We have a few books on directly just about entrepreneurship. The Entrepreneur Mind, and the Hard Thing About Hard Things. I'll talk about both of these at the same time because they both cover this idea that being an entrepreneur is really, really hard, and that you have to be able to tackle a whole lot of challenges. If you are thinking that you may want to own your own business, it probably wouldn't be a bad idea to pick one of these entrepreneur books to get a sense of some of the trials that you'll have to go through in order to make that happen. So here are 2 options for you. A couple more. These are all marketing and PR, so public relations, if that interests you, the idea of getting advertising out there, and marketing, connecting with customers, making sure that you're getting your brand out there. So this is marketing. talks about the importance of, it says the tagline here is, you can't be seen until you learn to see. But this is really about looking for an audience for your product, making sure that there is something that's out there, and then making sure you're meeting the need of those customers, and communicating with them effectively. So this is marketing. The new rules of marketing and PR. Again, almost like a handbook, a little bit more textbook style. So in some ways, I think that these are the most informative style of books, but they also can be a little bit of dry. They can be dry, but you'll get a ton of information out of something like this. It's almost like a course within itself. But the new rules of marketing and PR, and then the art and craft of PR, looking at public relations from sort of almost a humanitarian kind of point of view. Like how do you turn this into a craft? How do you get really good at public relations and making it into something that's considered an art, even though it's part of business? You're really trying to tap into to those artistic talents you might have. So that again, the public relations category. There are more on the chart. I can't go over every book in the cart because it's already 16 minutes in. But and if you watched this whole video, I nice job. But if you are having trouble making your selection, you just want to ask me if a couple of books are, what might be better. Just send me an email or something. I can I can always teleconference with you or give you some suggestions if you sort of know what you're looking for. But look over the list and click on that. Read the Amazon reviews. I mean, you can get a sense for how they're reviewed, what people like and what people don't like about them. Some of them are absolutely 5-star reviews, and some, people will give reasons that they do or don't like. So use that document to help guide you. Or if I talked about one and you're like, I want that one, then go on to Koha and put it on hold. And that's a different video, but I'll show you how to go get onto Koha, and you can place it on hold, and then we'll deliver it to Mrs. Craig's classroom for you. Okay. I hope you're well. Let me know if you have questions, and yeah, hopefully I'll see you soon. Bye.